Christian Miller.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with four-time SEC champion and two-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here's college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome into this Thursday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys are gearing up for a little bit of a cold weekend. I know I sound like James Spann now every time we come on here, but when there's some big, weather updates, we got to mention it. Want everybody to be safe. We just were talking with Reed, some plans canceled due to some of the weather. I think in this area, at least, Tuscaloosa is supposed to be maybe shifting a little bit more north. Now, again, I'm not James Spann. I'm just going off of what I've heard from him. But if you guys are looking for those updates, I believe our station will be covering everything this weekend. It's supposed to have a really bad, winter storm, not just here, but probably throughout the Southeast if I had to guess. So make sure you guys stay up to date with that. Make sure you guys are very safe if you're out traveling or doing things out and about, because it is supposed to be very, very cold, leading to some freezing rain, freezing roads, all that stuff. And just want you guys safe. But in the meantime, we're going to keep talking some football, keep talking some sports here on the show. We got a busy one today, which is good. We'll be joined by Brandon Clear, former Clemson wide receiver, at 11:30. Talk some more portal updates, college football, all that good stuff. Plus, at the top of the hour, we will be joined by former Alabama offensive lineman Mike Johnson, who also hosts his own radio show over in Atlanta, also covers the Falcons. He'll be joining us, and we're going to talk some Alabama football. Definitely going to get his thoughts on the offensive line this past season, maybe some grades, maybe what he thinks could be better, what we need to do, all that good stuff. We'll talk with him since he played the position. Plus, we'll probably see if we can get his thoughts on maybe one of the newest members of this offensive line unit. If you guys see the title of the stream, Alabama received some major news yesterday. We'll talk about what that news is and what that means for this group here in a moment. But first, let me remind you about our friends over at R&R Cigars. Again, this weekend, everything's still going on as it should. Again, just be safe if you are heading over there. But they will be celebrating their 14th anniversary this Friday, so tomorrow, and they would love for you to join them. I think it kicks off at 5. They're going to have great deals, a bunch of great stuff going on as they celebrate, as well as Bobby Newman from J.C. Newman, who's going to be giving away a free trip to the factory and hotel in Tampa. So make sure you guys check that out. Again, if you're looking for the best spot to have a nice stick, as in a cigar, to enjoy some bourbon, over 160 of them. They even have the new Yay Alabama bourbons as well to make some of those drinks that they have. Go hang out there. If you need a place to go watch Alabama basketball, they're always doing that as well, plus baseball season coming up, all that good stuff. It's a place to be if you're looking for a place to enjoy sports, enjoy a nice cigar, a nice drink, and just fellowship and have a great time. Again, that is R&R Cigars. You can always order from their website, rnrcigars.com. Code Miller's Edge will get you a big discount. Make sure you take advantage of that. Again, that is R&R Cigars, the official cigar provider of not only us here on the Miller's Edge, but also Alabama football since 2014. We're going to dive into a number of things here, like I just mentioned. Definitely the portal updates. We'll do that. We'll continue monitoring this whole Bediako situation. We talked a lot about it yesterday, right? And I don't think there's any major updates. I just was talking with Chase and Reed, and I think everything is still a go, right? He got his restraining order to at least give him 10 days to rejoin this team. And as far as I know, as I'm aware, everything is slated for him to not only be a part of the team this weekend, but even probably get some minutes potentially, which is really crazy to think about. I had some time to do some research, and we went back and found out that, yes, he's not the first person in this deal. There's been some other similar situations, but this is just my point of view and just my perspective. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm still just not the biggest on this whole deal of letting guys go pro, then come back. I get it. It's within the rules and all that, but with all the madness we're dealing with football already, I just feel like it's probably not the best if we continue on this trend. But hey, if it's within the rules, we definitely could use a little bit of help. Have at it, right? So it is what it is at this point. And I see somebody in the chat saying Baylor did the same thing. Yeah, I'm aware. That's what I'm referring. I mean, there's been other situations. Don't get me wrong. I still just personally don't think it's ideal in terms of where we're at in really in this space, not just sport with football, basketball, what I'm getting at is we've already been dealing with guys basically suing the NCAA to get extra years of eligibility. Almost every case, it feels like, ends up being approved or won going against NCAA. Then you have this. Listen, I'm as big of an Alabama fan as you guys, man. Listen, I bleed crimson. I love it. You see the wall. However, I'm just going to be fair and give my honest opinion. I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong. It's within the rules. I personally just would rather us get closer to sealing this stuff up, like, for the long term, than us continue to start, doing things. Not saying us specifically. It is kind of interesting. I never heard about this with Baylor. I feel like I've seen more news coverage, guys, since I'm not saying, it's because Alabama, but I think Alabama's name probably holds a little bit more weight. If you hear, Alabama is bringing back a pro player, that's probably going to grab a few more headlines than if you just said, Baylor basketball brings back a guy. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, but I didn't even really know about the whole Baylor situation. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not mad at Nate Oates or this program or anything. I mean, they do whatever they do. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like where I'm at with all the transfer portal stuff, with all the 25 and 26-year-olds finding extra years of eligibility over and over, I just want to get back as soon as possible to let's give high school kids opportunities to be recruited, come play college athletics for 4 years, 5 if you redshirt, and then move on. Whether that's go play professionally or that's going and getting a job with State Farm, it doesn't matter. But at some point, your college career has to end, man. It just does. I mean, even like Chase Reed, I don't know if you guys saw they're trying to extend the redshirt rule from 4 games, right? You have up to 4 games to now 9 games. All I'm saying is it just feels like we just keep taking it further, a little bit further, a little bit further. Because let me give you another reminder. Back when I was in school, again, not that long ago, kind of long ago when you think about it, we're doing the whole back to 2016 thing. I can't believe it's been 10 years since we won the national championship, the 2015 one, right? Because you played in January of 2016. Crazy to think about that was 10 years ago, but still not like that long ago. It was a while ago, but not that long. If you played like one snap, your red shirt was burned. And then they moved it to 4 games. And I wasn't too mad at 4 games because I'm like, all right, man, 4 games, get your feet wet a little bit. That still doesn't really count, I guess. It is what it is. I'm like, that's better for the players anyways. But now you hear them talking about moving it to 9 games. I don't know, man. It seems like we're trying to just push and push and push. And I'm just wondering, at what point are we going to finally start putting up some more guardrails or establishing some more concrete rules that it's not just, all right, we're going to have this rule, but if you sue, we can bend them a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm turning into the get off my grass guy. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But again, 11:30 we got Brandon Clear. We'll talk college football, transfer report, all that stuff. 12 o'clock we got Mike Johnson. We'll talk Alabama offensive line. I'm really excited about this because I want to really dive into his perspective, right? Getting a former offensive lineman, let alone one that played here and in the National Football League, his perspective on what went wrong this year, right? Because we watched a lot of tape. We know, we have an idea, but I'm really curious to get his thoughts. So we'll do that at the top of the hour. But first, we got to hit our first timeout. When we come back, we keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. Quick timeout. We'll be right back. What's up, guys? 2016. All right, this is going to make me feel old. In 2016, Reed was 10 years old, man. Reed, you were 10 years old when I won the first national championship that I won when I was here. I hate saying like I won because football is a team sport. It sounds weird. When we won our first national championship with me being here. I don't know. It sounds weird. When I won my first, especially that year. I was a little pup doing a bunch of special teams and getting some little late minutes. But best believe I take pride in that. Hey, my highlight was not necessarily like my highlight, but saying like my highlight, meaning like my most exciting moment from that game was Kenyon's kick return. Because me and Mo Smith, who transferred to Georgia. There's that whole deal when he transferred to Georgia because it was within conference. But we had a double. We had a double on the R4, man. And when I tell you we ran his ass into Clemson sideline, like we legit ran this dude into the the staff on the sideline. And I just remember we're because we got the double on him, so we literally block him into the sideline. And I just remember hearing the crowd just get loud. And when I turn around, I just see Kenyon just run down the sideline. I just sprint, man. I just run. Then we all just pile up on him in the end zone, man. That was a cool moment. I'm not gonna lie. Because I was young, man. Like I said, I was hungry for anything. I'm like, shoot, B-Dub, give me some special teams responsibilities. I'm taking it. I'm cool. Let me get a little something. I need something. Let me see if I can pull that clip up. Yeah, here it is. Let's just might have to stop and start it a little bit because this is a TV copy. Man, this game was a damn good game, by the way, too. There I go. But like I said, me and Mo Smith, we had a double on the R4, I believe. I think it should have been this dude. I was a post player, so I had to take the blow. So the post players, the way it works is I post up, I take on the hit or I hit him, and then Mo comes in. And we just run them. See, look, there we go right there. You can barely see it. You look at the bottom of the screen. You see us throwing this dude out of bounds? So we literally blocked this dude I'm telling you, he keeps going. I mean, we run his ass literally when I tell you we ran him into their bench damn near. And so we're on the sideline, and this is where the crowd, I started hearing the crowd because they started getting loud right here. And I just turn around and I just see him going, man. I just start sprinting down the field, man. Now, let me skip ahead because I don't want to look at Mulaney. God, man. This team was so fun to be a part of, man. It really was. This team was so much fun. Who is that? Wait, you'll see us piling up here. There I go. Dang, man. That was a fun time. That was a cool experience too, playing in Arizona. That was a fun one for sure. And welcome back into this Thursday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We just took a trip down memory lane. We were talking about that national championship game from January of 2016. I call it a 2015 championship game. But anyway, like I said, I just was doing some special teams duty. Nothing crazy. But that kick return with Kenyon, man, that was I don't know, man. That was so exciting. That was a great game, by the way. Reed, I know you said you were 10 years old, but did you by chance watch this game as a young man at 10 years old? Were you watching it at all, or were you too young to really be, invested in Alabama football at that point?
Well, Christian, from being born in Birmingham and my dad, growing up as a Bama fan before the Saban era, I was born into it. So, he kind of clowns me for it. But no, probably the first national title, I don't quite remember was Saban. But this one specifically, yes, I remember it.
All right, well, good. Like I said, man, nothing crazy here. Hey, but listen, every little bit counts, man. I got us. I'm circling up top. You can see the stream too, but that's a young me, man. I was a redshirt freshman. Like I said, just doing some little special teams action. Nothing big here, but hey, it counts, man. And here we go, man. We had this double team. Like I said, I told you guys, I took pride in any little bit. That's the difference. Nowadays, these guys, man, they special teams. They don't want parts of it. They just want to play. Me, and all of our guys, man, we were hungry. We would take what we could get because I had Dylan Lee, Denzel Duvall, Tim Williams, Ryan Anderson, hell, even me, Rashawn. Listen, man. We had to take the crumbs that we got. So when I was on kick return, man, I was like, man, I'm gonna make the most of it. And so me and Mo Smith, man, that's my guy. Shout out to Mo. I think he's helping out at Georgia right now. He's with Kirby and their staff. But we got our little double team action, doubling the R4. Ran that dude out of bounds, and Kenyon was off, man. Like I said, nothing crazy there, but good little memory. But, that's what I'm saying. I think it's just a good lesson for for anybody out there, man. Just sometimes it's about the opportunity you get, even if it's a small opportunity. Because I knew, again, I was young. My time would come, but in the meantime, I was going to put in the work. And hell, it's nice being a part of a national championship winning team. 10 years later, we're talking about it, even if it is just quick little kick return rep. I take pride in it. I enjoyed it. So, real quick, couple little notes before we get to Brandon here in a few minutes, man. I see you guys in the chat talking about a number of former guys now are announcing that they're going to try to sue the NCAA to come back. Trent said he's trying to come back, I think. Jake Fromm, quarterback from Georgia, he's joking around saying that. Unfortunately, I'm all out of that, man. I did my 5 years. I don't think I could, the only thing I could maybe get would be if I said maybe the injury year where I tore my biceps. I missed a lot of time that year. I probably could have qualified for some type of red shirt. Granted, I did come back and play in the final, 3 or 4 games after being injured. So I don't know. I don't know. But if I did, guys, I need to do some training, right? Like I work out, but there's a big difference between working out and being in that type of shape and then being in football shape where you're like, sprinting and bursting. And I mean, I've already been prone to hamstrings and all type of stuff, man. That just doesn't really sound like a good idea, but I don't know. If the money's right, which clearly it is, maybe that could be something to consider. Dwight said he tagged us in something on X. I think I saw, is it from Josh Pate? I think it was basically him. I didn't see the whole clip, but I think it was him talking about what he would do to change or fix college football. So let's take a look at that. We got a few minutes. We can probably hit that real quick. Let me see what Dwight tagged us. Let me see how long it is. It is 3 minutes. We can hit it. I mean, we're talking about all the issues right now at the portal anyways. Let's see what Josh Pate's idea would be to fix college football and the whole scheduling issue we got. Then when we come back, we'll be joined by Brandon Clear, talk some Alabama football and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's hear Josh Pate's solution to some of this madness that we're dealing with.
I think we had a breakthrough today. I think we figured out how to fix the college football playoff, how to save bowl season, how to move the national championship game to January 1st, how to get the portal wrapped up, and how to get National Signing Day wrapped up, all by the start of the spring semester. Step one, I would like to move week 1 to what week 0 currently is, which leads to a revolutionary Thanksgiving weekend. It's where step 2 comes into play. We're going to have conference championship games. We're just going to have them Thanksgiving weekend instead of the week after Thanksgiving. We have a big problem in this sport right now. Bowl season has been rendered largely irrelevant compared to what it used to be. So I'm taking the shock panels, I'm rubbing them together, whatever that gel is in between, putting them on the chest of bowl season. Clear, boom, bowl season's back. I'd like to take 6 bowls. Don't particularly care which ones they are. Let's just call it the Citrus Bowl and the Pop-Tart Bowl, Cheez-It Bowl, etc. Either that Friday after Thanksgiving.
Could we have not chosen better bowls than those?
Or that Saturday. You guys can choose. Take all the teams that are going to play in conference championship games, take them off the board. They're already preoccupied. But this is what it would have looked like this year. My Pop-Tart Bowl is Oregon versus Houston. My Cheez-It Bowl is Ole Miss versus Michigan. I've got A&M, Arizona. I've got Oklahoma, USC. I've got Texas versus Utah. I've got Notre Dame versus Vanderbilt. These are bowl games. They are also college football playoff data points. These games count. You could play yourself into or out of the playoff in many cases in the Pop-Tart Bowl, because the day after, that Saturday, that is Selection Sunday, 9 a.m. It's an NFL Sunday. We're not scared of the NFL around here, but we're also not going to be stupid and run opposed to them. So we're going to reveal the college football playoff rankings and seedings and the bracket 9 a.m. that Sunday. And then step 5, round 1 happens a week later. Round 1 of the college football playoff on campus is held the first Saturday in December. Round 2 of the college football playoff, held on campus, is held the second Saturday in December. Round 3, finally going to kick it to a neutral site, only because I think I have to. I don't want to. That's the third Saturday in December. And then we break for Christmas, and our national championship game is held New Year's Day.
I do like that. Now let's let them wrap things up real quick.
And we crown a national champion, and the season's over. And step 6 is immediately after that. I don't even care in which order you do this. You have signing day, and you have your transfer portal window, and wrap that thing up in a couple of weeks, and then spring semester is here. and everyone can go kick their feet up and take a little vacation, maybe have a junior day, do whatever you want to do. Everyone's playing 17 to win it all. You got 2 rounds of on-campus playoff games. The bowl games are enhanced in many different ways, and you totally resurrect the spirit of bowl season because you maximize the relevance of 6 of those bowls, and you totally reconfigure the importance of them. Also, if we play these games on subsequent Saturdays in December, you're going to have to figure it out with the NFL. You're just going to have to. Someone's got to walk in the room that has the stones and the relationships and the know-how to understand, and hey, here's a bold strategy. If you have to, pay the NFL to have the spot.
I mean, I guess that is something to consider there. But I mean, listen, I at least like the fact that everything would conclude January 1st. The calendar would then be corrected where you have the transfer portal and signing day after the season. That way, we're not seeing these teams that are, actively playing and pursuing a national championship while other schools are worrying about transfer portal and guys leaving and picking, guys up from the portal. Obviously, it's a mess right now. So I don't know. We got to hit a timeout. That'll give me some time to kind of think it over, everything that he just said, because he laid out a lot. But I kind of like that idea, at least the initial part, in terms of number one, moving everything up. So, I mean, you got the conference championship games, but then you got the bowl games all being played. And then immediately following that, there's the true selection of the college football playoffs, even though those bowl games that would be played would give you, like he called them, data points and would help secure your spot in the college football playoff, or the opposite, could make you drop out. But I don't know. I mean, it kind of feels like a little bit of an expansion of the playoff, because if I count it correctly, that would have been almost like 20 total teams playing the weekend right before the selection. So interesting idea there. We'll respond to it and talk with Brandon Clear when we come back right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Wait, the Xbox Bowl. That's not. Is that a real thing? Oh, it's new. What? I didn't know there was an Xbox Bowl. They gave them those Rogue devices, those handhelds. That's fire. Listen, bowl games, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna ask Brandon if he got any good bowl gifts. Xbox Bowl is fire. Now, I'm a PlayStation guy, but listen, I mean, Xbox is great too. Man, that's dope. Snoop Dogg Bowl. Okay, all right, guys. Don't troll me now. Seriously. All right. The Xbox Bowl is real. Come on now, Dwight. Really? Snoop Dogg Bowl? Come on, man. There's no way. I don't even want to Google that. I'm not. Come on, man. Wait, that's a real thing? I'm just proving this point. I don't pay attention to bowl season anymore. I really don't. The Snoop Dogg Bowl? Are y'all serious? How did I not know? How did I not hear about this? Well, part of it is, there's literally the teams playing is Toledo and Wyoming. Yeah. Y'all are being dead ass serious. Yeah, y'all. Wait, what? I'm like, guys, when I tell you, I literally hold on. Okay, all right. It's called the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. Wow. Is it like in, I guess, I don't know, conjunction with Barstool? I feel like I saw Barstool in there. What's the logo here? Let me pull it up for you. That's why I'm trying to find the actual thing, because I see a little bit of Barstool on it on some of them, and then on others I don't. This is what I'm seeing right here, guys. Shit, how much does it cost? Should we do a Miller's Edge Bowl? We need to get some sponsors involved and start our own bowl at this point. Snoop Dogg has a bowl. Obviously, he's got plenty of money to do stuff like that. But that's new to me. Christian's still caught up in big boy football. Listen, I know that's bad, but I'm not going to sit there and lie to you guys. I did not watch hardly any bowl games. I didn't watch hardly any bowl games unless they're college football playoff games. I was locked in on what we were doing and, actual contenders. I hate to say it like that, but like I like watching football, but I'm not like my dad could watch. I mean, like a D2 school play just for all that matters. He just likes watching it. Me, on the other hand, like I want to see some some competitive teams. Don't get me wrong; those teams are competitive. That sounds bad. I got to give love to the other schools, man. That's bad. I shouldn't be like that. But personally, I didn't see the Xbox or the Snoop Dogg Bowl. Adam, we need some donation. No, Adam does plenty, man. And welcome back into this Thursday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. I swear, every day, I mean, it's true. I mean, you learn something new every day. In this case, me, as a former player, somebody that covers the sport, really a lot of Alabama and SEC football, I just learned that there is an Xbox Bowl this year. That's new, so at least I'm not that bad. It just came out this year. And not only that, a Snoop Dogg Bowl. Now, I can't be the only one that just found this out. January 22nd of 2026, that there was a Snoop Dogg bowl game. But it just goes to prove Josh Pate's point that bowl season has kind of been left in the dust. I just don't think I'm the only person that thinks that. I don't know. Let's ask our guests. We're joined by Brandon Clear, former Clemson wide receiver, who's joining us every Thursday now. Big shout out to Brandon. Brandon, were you aware of the Snoop Dogg Bowl or the Xbox Bowl for that matter this season?
Hey, Christian Miller and family, how y'all doing? I actually was aware of the Snoop Dogg Bowl.
Well, good. I guess I was living under a rock. I had no clue.
Snoop has made a full circle moment, man, to where, again, people undermine his ability about knowing sports. And his son was a really good football player. I think he actually started at UCLA at one point. It was really good receiver.
Oh, yeah.
And Snoop has been in that whole, that football mode, man. That guy knows ball. So I wasn't shocked. But, that was funny when I realized that, this dude actually got a bowl game.
Yeah, no, I had no clue until the chat here on our stream. Again, shout out to the chat. Come join us on the stream at the Miller's Edge on YouTube. I had no idea. I didn't even know about the Xbox Bowl. I thought that was a joke. And then I was like, damn, that's actually kind of cool. I mean, that one I could understand. But I was like, Snoop Dogg, I didn't know anybody could kind of just buy or sponsor a bowl game. But with how much influence that he has, and he owns businesses too. And like you said, he does have a football background. I remember he was coaching was it Little League, or he had some type of league at one point and I think a lot of his players actually went on to be really good football players. So you're 100% right. Snoop does have some, he's got some credibility in the sports world. So yeah, I guess it's not too big of a shocker. But speaking of the sports world, Brandon, I got to ask you this, man, and we've been talking about this past couple of days. How much do you know of this Charles Bediako situation, and if at all? I mean, what do you think of it? I mean, the dude technically was a G League player not long ago, and now he's 2 sleeps away from potentially suiting back up for his college team. I mean, is that not crazy to you, or?
Yeah, it's insane. So again, his situation is even more slightly different. He signed a 2-way contract, I think, with the Spurs. So if you even get a taste of the pros, I'm just one of those folks that I'm not even calling it being a purist. He has a competitive advantage that most of these guys just don't have. And so I'm not all about having fair, because fair that's where pigs are judged. That's what Coach Sweeney used to always say. I'm just more so for the fact that this is a grown man that has been removed from college basketball for quite some time and has learned the competitive game and has played with pros. You take and insert that person in there, it actually imbalances the competitive balance that you often see, because it's not just this guy's a 4th or 5th year that's been in basketball for quite some time that you kind of saw with some of those teams that had those super seniors. This dude has been a professional. And so some people will even make the case with baseball, where these baseball players will go pro and they'll turn around and play, come in and play another college sport. They'll play football, right? So, remember Brandon Whedon that played for Oklahoma State, and a lot of these baseball players will tend to do that. They'll go pro, and then they'll be like 26 and come in, and they'll again, they've been developed by a professional league. And although they may have had some abilities and they're switching over to an entirely different sport, this dude has played with professionals in the very game that he's now coming back to play in college, although he left college. I think it just sets a bad precedent. But if this is where we're going, kudos to Bama to, just test the water.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm not big on the precedent that it continues to set. I'm not going to say we're the first ones because I get it. Baylor, and I think there's another situation where maybe a guy that maybe played professional overseas comes over and then he's a freshman in college. I get it. So it's not like I'm over here trying to just throw us under the bus here. But my thing is I feel like even those situations, I'm not a big fan of even letting, I guess, those pros from Europe come play in college basketball. So I want to be clear. I'm not saying, oh, it's bad just because Alabama's doing it and other people. No, I mean, we just hadn't talked about it. I'm saying in general, I just don't want us to continue down this path where we keep kind of bending rules. I'm with you. Once your eligibility is exhausted or you make the decision to move on and turn pro, I mean, that should be it. I just feel like I don't know, we just keep bending things and it just feels like it's going to keep bending and bending. And is it even going to break at any point? I don't know. I mean, not hopefully, I guess it might have to for there to finally be some change, but who knows? But I mean, if he can help us win games and it's not going to, risk us vacating anything, I guess, let's run it. let him hoop. We'll see what he can do this weekend against Tennessee. Brandon, speaking of some big additions, I don't know if you saw the news, but yesterday, I titled this on the stream. We'll jump into it with you right now. Alabama finally got some major portal news. I call it major. Obviously, we gotta track the viewers one way, but I do think it is really big news, right? You go into the portal and you get a commitment from Javen James out of Mississippi State. A left tackle that started a number of games last year, I think majority of the season. I want to say he transferred from Akron, but finally getting some experience via the portal and somebody that I feel like can definitely compete. I went back and watched some of his tape. I'll break him down here in a moment, but how confident does that make you knowing Alabama finally is adding someone with some true valuable experience, and not only that, but also in the conference, especially at a position of need like left tackle?
So I completely agree with you. And this is a lesson learned to these colleges. When Seton decided to take a visit to Mississippi State, you are now telling your team when the transfer portal's open that your job is going to be compromised. So it cuts both ways. And look, I'm not trying to knock Mississippi State. I'm sure they could have dropped the bag, but let's be real. Seton was not going to Mississippi State. Looking at LSU, Oregon, and maybe one dark horse. But he was not stepping foot in Mississippi State. So they lose. Their loss is our game. I've seen one game of him, and it was against Missouri. And I'll be truthful, man. He was getting blown by quite a bit. And I have to also take into consideration that Missouri had some serious edge players, and they gave us a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? Like Caden Proctor, go turn that film on. Caden Proctor was getting work. Number 9, I think for them, man, he was hitting them with the dip and rip. He was getting them inside, like just a lot of speed. And so when I look at this guy, he struggled with the same type of, situation, right? He was getting beat outside. And I always say that he had, an opportunity to play. He was coming from a smaller division. He's moved up and he was playing at SEC. So there was always going to be that learning curve. So I want to give, a credit to, him stepping up his game and really, again, getting a chance to start. Now he moves over. That is, again, more competition at left tackle, and that's what we need. Michael Carroll's the only one that has his job locked on that O-line. Everyone else is open competition. So I'm hopeful. I'm glad that we have someone that has some experience starting in the SEC. I think that, his size and his athleticism, you can see it, right? He's toolsy. You can see certain things on there. But, we also have to say that, coming out of school, there's a reason why he was starting at a smaller school. So I don't know his background. I don't know if he was maybe late to start playing football and he was a basketball player that switched over, or maybe he had a late growth spurt. So there's a little bit more digging I got to do on the prospect himself. But for again, everyone complaining about the O-line, what I will say that I give a lot of credit to the staff, they did a full reload/revamp where they're just like, we've got to just break this all up. And Christian, this is a question over to you. And I'm all about, again, accountability is big for me. And we saw from 2020 on, right? So after that 2020 national championship, the play of the O-line has gotten progressively worse.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I think a lot of people have just kind of forgotten is Nick Saban, his coaching was not getting worse. I think that some of the personnel that is more so transactional, they didn't want to commit to Nick because he couldn't commit to them beyond a certain period of time because he didn't know. And
Right.
so I felt as though the access to some of those top O-line coaches that we had seen in the past, I think they were a little bit more hesitant to come over and join his staff because they didn't know what it looked like. So the people start talking about, hey, why are offensive coordinators, why is that looking sketchy? Why are we having issues retaining staff? It's because at the end of the year, he has, again, to sit down with his coaches. He talks about what went well, talks about, where we can improve. And they then turn around and say, hey, my family's here. Coach, can I say that you're going to commit to me or to, this university beyond, 2 or 3 years? And he couldn't do it. And so Saban had his best coaching year to me was his final year because he had to step it up to another level because he realized that his coaching staff was not there yet to meet the demand in order to get the team over the hump. And it took everything out of him. But when he left, those players were then not being developed at the pace of what we have seen in the past. And so that's attributed to the turnover from the staff, right? So you're seeing different types of coaches come in. But I really want to get your read on it. I mean, again, I'm not blaming Saban. I'm not blaming the coaches for looking out for their families. But I think there was a reason why he was having a hard time retaining staff and why there was a high turnover, not just because of performance-based, but some of these guys were taking lateral moves somewhere else because they just didn't see the stability. And that's what Saban always offered, stability, an opportunity to be able to get that next promotion. And that's why those guys came there. And there's a reason why when the Final Four happened, you saw his tree. There's a reason why Signetti is successful. He was under Saban. So that's my take on it. What is your take actually being in the building, knowing how integrated Saban was, and how he held those coaches accountable? What is your read on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right that, once he started getting up there in age and it was only kind of a matter of not if but when, he would probably be taking that next step to, retirement and doing something else. He talked about that. I mean, recruits would be asking him. Obviously, a lot of people use that as a negative recruiting tactic for years, not knowing the case, but just saying, coach is getting up there. He might not be there. And obviously that kept coming up, when people would be sitting in his office. And I'm sure coaches also had that same idea. Listen, and I'm sure you know how the coaching business works. I mean, but it's, sometimes it's hard to get back on once you're off, right? Like when he left, and a lot of those coaches were left without a job, not knowing where they're going to be. Like, it's not always easy just to get picked back up as a coach. And like you said, stability is huge, especially in the coaching profession. So I think that definitely did probably play a role in terms of his ability to not only retain staff, but also go and hire guys. That's why I try to tell people all the time, like the fact that he dealt with as much turnover that he did, and he still was able to continue to have that sustained success over that period of time, going through numerous coordinators on both sides of the football, position coaches, everybody being hired off to other staffs or places was just so impressive. But I think it finally started to catch up with them in the last few years, as you could just see. I mean, you look at the staff, Pete ends up going to Ole Miss. He did not want Pete to leave by any means. It just worked out that way. And, he was left kind of scrambling, trying to get somebody. He ends up settling for Kevin Steele, who he had worked with in the past. But, Coach Steele was kind of on his way out as well in terms of coaching. And that whole deal was, just kind of almost like, hey, we just got to find something, right? I mean, you could even see it with some of the position coaches. And circling back to the offensive line, I feel like Coach Flood was one of the last ones. And listen, I liked Coach, what's his name? We just were talking about it with my dad. He came from Wolford. I thought he was a good coach too. I think when I look at the development with the offensive line, I think it's a couple of things. Number one, there's a lot of turnover on the staff, like you mentioned. But number two, I feel like the evaluations and / recruiting, getting some of that talent hadn't necessarily been as high as it once was. I mean, because I remember I just was talking about this yesterday when we were playing the game of what players would we want to come back if they could pull a Bediako and do it with football. And there's a bunch of names, and it made me think, when I got here in 2014, Cam Robinson came in with me. He's a first round. Well, I think he ended up going like at the, start of the second round, but you get my point. First, second round type dude. And then after that, you had a guy like Was it Jonah Williams directly after that? We also had a guy who was a first rounder. Jedrick Wills ended up being a first rounder. Alex Leatherwood, who was a guard / tackle, first rounder. I mean, we just had a run on offensive tackles, offensive linemen, really in general. And I felt like you said, probably around 2020. I know you still had guys like Evan Neal, and you still have the Bookers and even Latham, a number of players that are good players. But I just feel like you'd have like one or two, then the rest would kind of be serviceable. And I think it's kind of a combination of both. I feel like the development wasn't as high as it once was, probably for a number of reasons, but I also just feel like we weren't landing the same quality of player up front in the trenches for whatever reason, right? And maybe the COVID year had a little bit to do with that. The evaluations were a little bit different. You couldn't really go and see these guys like you could in previous years. I'm not 100% sure, but I just know by the eye test and seeing a lot of these guys, I don't think we had the same number of quality linemen as we once did, and plus I think the disbursement of talent too, I mean, a lot of schools started catching up with us in terms of recruiting, and it's hard to find good, this, I mean, it's hard to find good trench players. That's why the offensive linemen in the NFL, they're paid so much money, and it's hard for the NFL to find good linemen I mean, there's a big drop off. Like I can tell you, like the starting offensive lineman in the NFL to the backups, I mean, there's a big drop off. There's not that many players that are that good that play up front. So I think what you said, I think all of that kind of plays a role. And that's why when people ask me, I think it's both. I think the recruiting took a hit in terms of the evaluations, but also the development hadn't really been what it needed to be over the last few years. And I think it's important to try to pick all that back up the best that you can, even in this environment where everything's kind of evenly distributed with NIL and transfer portal. There's more parity than ever. We're joined by Brandon Clear, former Clemson wide receiver, talking some Alabama football. And Brandon, let me ask you this. I asked Clint this yesterday because the portal closed last Friday. There's still some activity. Miami, Indiana, those teams that just finished playing, their window is obviously extended. Some names are still popping up just because of the process of their, I guess, paperwork being processed, sometimes being a little delayed. But where we stand, I mean, the roster in terms of who you have, it's set. Our guys can't enter in the portal anymore. Might see another name or two potentially, just like we did in Javen James yesterday. Where do you stand with this roster, with the guys, taking into consideration the departures, both the draft and the portal, and then also the additions? Now, I want to say I had this pulled up. I want to say we've added, I don't know off the top of my head, I think it's around like 18 or so names via the portal and whatnot. Where do you stand with this roster? How confident are you in this roster that is built to be able to go contend for a national championship? Or do you think it's kind of similar where it's like a playoff quality roster? Or do you think it's kind of a fringe type of roster? Where do you think this roster's at?
So that's a great question. I think it's way too early to make any proclamations on what the team will be. And the reason why you always start at the most important position is quarterback. We don't even know who the starting quarterback is going to be. We have two young, talented players. I'm a Keelan guy. I think that he has a lot of ability. He reminds me of Jaden Daniels. Just natural feel for the game. Is always looking to pass. And so you see a lot of the same qualities he had. I saw that in Bryce Young at a very young age. And so when he went into the game, it just looked different. The pace was different. Mac has the tools. He has, a strong arm. He's got the size. And, he's been in this system for going on, 3 years? And so this will be year 4 for him. And he was also a young player. He reclassified to come out early. And so he would have benefited from going back his senior year in high school. He was not ready to play. But we know that a lot of that is, getting to the bag earlier in, NIL deals. Mm-hmm. So, again, we have to see how that shakes out. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think there'll be a decision on the quarterback until the end of camp. And once you have that, then you got to kind of go from there to determine exactly what the O-line is going to look like. The running back, I think AK Deer is going to really have a huge jump. I want them to still go after. I think the Pringle kid from Miami, he has some ability. He has a burst. I watched a couple of highlights from him. You can just see it looks different. And he's a small guy. And, one of the things that I really want to see from this staff, and again, not calling for any coaches to lose their job, you have to be able to teach blocking principles. I don't know who or why we saw a regression. It was not this bad. When you go look at Brian Robertson in pass pro, it looks different. Why do I have a 240-pound back in there that's getting run over by a corner or a safety? How is he getting run over? It's physically impossible unless you have poor technique. So if anything, Christian, I would say through the spring, I want to see development. I've got to see it to believe it. So we have all the talent. We're going to have 5-star, 4-stars. We're going to have all the abilities in the world. But if I don't see from a technical standpoint, even when I see like the little practice footages they put out, there's certain things I'm looking at as a former football player that I need to see. When I'm looking at the O-line, I need to see a kick step that makes sense. I need to see you get your hands on someone inside, not on the outside catching a blow. One of the things that I would even talk about is we have now grown, right? We've got length, and we've got guys that are below 320 for the first time in a while. And I know a lot of folks were really upset that Jaden Roberts wasn't playing. Unfortunately, if you go film, this is not a knock on him as a player. It's just being reality. His technique was very poor. He would make a great block on one end, and then all the next, he's opening it. He's opening up. They're sending a step behind him because he's not playing with technique. So, Parker Brailsford kind of masked some of that because, again, he's a smart, high IQ guy, but he lacks size. Yeah. So I think you're going to also see a jump potentially even at the center position because now we have some guys with a little bit of size, even though the guy from Michigan, to me, is comparable to a Brailsford. He's not the biggest guy, but he's tough, he's smart, and he's coming from Michigan, which we know a program that develops OL, even though he hasn't played a ton. So, ask me that question again at the end of fall camp, and I might have a better assessment. But until they play that first game, I don't know what we have. And I think everyone had to learn that lesson. The Florida State game, we thought that we had it all on paper, and we just didn't show up that first game. And so you don't know what your team has. But one thing, Christian, I want you to look out for when you go to the camps and stuff. I think that they worked really hard this past off season. I think they killed them in camp. By the time they got to the game, and from my understanding, it looked like they were just worn out, man. They looked like they were mentally worn out. It looked like they were going to show up because on paper they looked better than Florida State. Florida State was hungrier. They were fatigued. So this whole offseason and building up to the season, the coach has to work on the mental game. This is mental. We have the physical components. We've got all the skill players. If I'm challenging Kalen DeBoer, I'm saying, Kalen, this is a mental challenge for your team. How you develop mentally? How do you get them all on the same page? How do you ensure that they get buy-in from themselves to make sure they're being accountable? That is something that you have to bring a professional in to do. So I'm hoping they lean on sports therapists to be able to help. I hope they lean on former players to come in and give them the boost of confidence to be able to say, like, hey, this can be done. This is how we did it, but show them. So, hey, man, I'm excited about the season, but I want to see how we shake out. And, I think our team is going to be set up for a potential run, but I just don't know what the run's going to be.
You brought up an interesting point when you mentioned just looking worn out. And I was talking about this yesterday. I was at the second and final fall camp scrimmage that Josh Pate was also there. And I just remember, and you guys heard how he talked about it, right? When he went on his show, he was very impressed with what he saw. That's why he was so high in Alabama. And I can attest. I mean, I watched that defense fly around. The pass rush actually looked, really solid. I mean, but I also know, it's just, it's not, excuse me, it's fall camp. It's a scrimmage. So I was a little hesitant, but still I was like very shocked when I saw the product that we saw against Florida State. Cause I was like, that's not the football team that I just watched the last 2 weeks of these scrimmages, especially that last one before they really got into their game prep. So pairing that with what we just heard from Cignetti, which I think he was talking about not wanting to wear his guys down and how he done practice them a whole bunch. So it almost makes you wonder. I mean, I never really, thought of it like that, but maybe that was one of the things that kind of came up in that first game against Florida State. Maybe they were a little worn down. I don't know. The problem with me is I just think about with all the technology that they use up there in terms of monitoring and tracking their workloads and all that stuff. I'm like, you would think that would at least kind of give them some type of, I don't know, idea or insight into that. But that's actually a good point you bring up. Brandon, I appreciate you joining us, man. Really good stuff as always, man. I look forward to doing it again next week.
Hey, same here, Christian. Thank you so much, man. Continue doing the great work. get the Rev on, man, and have him talk more. But I'm really excited about who the guest you have at the top of the hour, man. I think he's going to give some insights. Please ask him some pointed questions on that OL.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. We're diving all into it. Mike Johnson, former Alabama offensive lineman. He's joining us in a couple minutes here. We'll dive into it, man, so make sure you stay tuned.
Sounds good, brother. You take care.
Yes, sir. You too, brother. Brandon Clear, former Clemson wide receiver, doing some great stuff, helping us out and being supportive, and just always appreciate all the stuff that he does to contribute, man. So we got to hit this top of the hour break. We come back. Mike Johnson, former Alabama offensive lineman, joins us. We'll talk about this offensive line right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Really good stuff, man. Brandon's great, man. I don't think he's in the. I know he does something else now, but he does well, man. He could do some broadcasting for sure. Who did Mike Johnson play with on the line? Let's pull up the rest of the guys. I think Mike was here, like 09 through 12, that range maybe. I need to ask him about Signetti too, because I want to say he was on the team that, or when Signetti was here. Mike was here, not 12, I'm sorry. Mike was here 06 through 10 maybe. Yeah, I think it was 06 through 20 or 2009, 2010, something like that. He was drafted in 2010. James Carpenter, yeah, I think he was also here at that time. Sharon Moore could have been our new O-line coach. Okay. All right. Goodness, come on, Smitty. You guys be. Hey, Reed, I texted Chase Mike's contact if you guys didn't have it yet. I can send it to you as well if I need to. William Vallejos. He was coaching here when I was here, man. He was an analyst. That's right. Let's see. Let me try to pull up that depth chart. Let's pull up the 2009 depth chart. Was Fluker here yet or not? Maybe a young Fluke. Let's see. Maybe he wasn't here yet. Trying to find, where's the depth chart? All right, here we go. Oh yeah, Fluker was like a freshman. So Chance Warmack, DJ Fluker, Anthony Steen, like those guys I think were probably like freshmen that year. So that's when they finally started getting some of them dogs in here. Young bucks. They had him on the depth chart, so I don't know. I mean, I think he probably just must have been a freshman. I'll share it with you guys. Wait, where did it go? Oh, there it goes. This is the depth chart that I have pulled up from that year. All right, cool. We got Mike ready to go. Yeah, so we're going to talk a lot of O-line, man. I'm excited to get his thought process on all this. If you guys haven't, I think we got what, like 125 in here. Hit that like button real quick if you guys are ready to hear from Mike. I think we've got what, like we got 38 likes. Yeah, we need to double that. Let's get up to like one. I really would love to get up to 100 since we got plenty of bodies. Yeah, if you guys don't mind, man, hit that like button real quick. Let's get up. So let's hit that 100. We've been killing it recently too. Takes 2 seconds. Just hit that like button. I'm gonna point down. I'm assuming it's down. If I had to guess, I don't know exactly where it's at on the stream. I can't see it, but I'm assuming it's down. Let's hit it real quick. We'll have Mike in about a minute or so. We'll get these answers. Everybody's always asking us about the offensive line. I mean, I've broke it down on the tape as much as possible, but now we got us an offensive lineman to do it. Why won't we spend at running back? I mean, they will. I mean, you had what's his name? Smothers. I just don't think they wanted to just take somebody if they didn't feel like he was the right guy. But the Miami guy allegedly was recruited by us coming out of high school, so it's definitely something to watch out for. But I mean, I know they definitely like the guys that we have. It's just, again, if it's somebody that they feel is ideal, So turned on the oven. Yeah, we're getting there, man. I mean, you got to work with what you got, because there's really not that many guys in the portal, I would say, that are just going to be big time additions. But we've definitely been addressing a lot of the needs. I mean, offensive line, I think we've got almost like 18 total offensive linemen right now. So I mean, hell, you got to. There's got to be at least some guys in that group that could play some ball. Might not be all of them, but there's got to be some.
Christian Miller. It's time for the Miller's Edge with 4-time SEC champion and 2-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here's college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome back into this Thursday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Big thanks to former Clemson wide receiver Brandon Clear, who just joined us. And now we go back to the phone lines, where we're going to be joined by an Alabama legend, an offensive lineman. You guys know who he is. Mike Johnson, former Crimson Tide offensive lineman and national champion, and former Falcon, who he also covers currently. Mike, welcome in, man. It's been a minute. How have you been?
I'm doing good, man. We're, you know how it is in this NFL game over here in Atlanta. We're covering this new Kevin Stefanski hire and ushering out the Raheem Morris era. So it's been a busy couple weeks to the new year, man. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and thanks for jumping on. I can only imagine it's been pretty hectic, but tell me, man, give me your thoughts. I mean, I'm a Panthers guy, but I'm curious. We got a lot of Falcons fans, I'm sure, that listen. Kevin, Stefanski. I know there's been, probably a number of opinions, especially this last year with all the drama with Shador and Cleveland and how that whole thing was going. But what are your thoughts initially just on the hire?
It's funny you bring that up. We were talking about it earlier, and Deion spent 5 years maybe in Atlanta. Got in a fight when he returned and went went to another team and got in a fight here in the Georgia Dome. And he is as revered still in the city of Atlanta as any athlete could possibly be revered. And so a lot of people around Atlanta, have brought up the Shador Sanders kind of situation. But I think more than anything, it's just a breath of fresh air. Like, you can exhale that you've got a new chapter coming. And it's not just the fancy, it's the fact that Matt Ryan's been hired as the president of football. And, there's a new GM on the way in. I have gotten a million questions about Tommy Rees over the last couple of days, because he's rumored to come here and be the OC. And I obviously followed him in his time there at Alabama just a couple of years ago. But it's good, man. We're just kind of ripping the Band-Aid off and ushering in a new era. And I think as good as anybody, man, when you get a new coach in the NFL, it's a 99% chance it's going to fail. You just kind of hope for the best.
Yeah, well, Ron Rivera drafted me, then he was fired before my rookie season ended. Then we brought in Matt Rule, and to your I guess your point, he didn't last very long himself. And there's been a number of changes with coaching, especially on Carolina's end, which, to be fair, we don't have the best situation over there, but it's getting better, man. It's finally starting to, I guess, take off a little bit. Bryce Young's finally getting some help, and he's doing a good job. And yeah, man. So, but you're right.
Hey, Christian, y'all are welcome, by the way, for that victory we pulled off in the last week of the season over here to send Carolina to the playoffs. That tiebreaker sure didn't work out for y'all, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, listen, I think Panthers fans are just happy to even just sniff the playoffs for the first time in quite some time, and it just feels like finally we're seeing the other side of this thing just a little bit, man. And I think the future's bright. I mean, Bryce is such a great player, great young man, and I think the more they keep getting him some help, that receiver we drafted out of Arizona has been great. You know, they've invested in the offensive line, so hopefully we can continue that. But Mike, I know you're busy covering NFL, but you also keep up with Alabama clearly. I mean, you're a national champion here during your time, and I want to get your thoughts. I want to start by going back to this past season, just your overall, I guess, outlook on how this season went. I mean, definitely was progress made. You know, trip to the SEC championship in your backyard, and then making the college football playoffs, winning that first round. But there also were, some performances that left you kind of scratching your head, not the best taste in your mouth. How would you assess year 2 under Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah, it's some point in the middle of last season is I got a chance to visit with you and your dad and, talk about kind of Kalen DeBoer and what all had gone on with him. And I think I mentioned to y'all at the time, this was, I don't know, maybe November over a year ago, just said, hey, I think we're going to find out a lot when the transfer portal hit. I think that a lot can be made about year 1 under Kalen DeBoer, but when the portal hits, we'll find out what the guys really think of him inside the building. And I think he fared well in the transfer portal last year. And I just, as the season wore on, I had so many questions, Christian, about the consistency around the team. It just didn't seem like they played with the same tenacity week in and week out. And there were obviously some massive bright spots. You go on the road and you beat Georgia in Athens. I think you have to feel pretty good about that. But you highlight, the Florida State loss, the Georgia loss, the Indiana loss. Those are good teams. Don't get me wrong. Aside from Florida State, but you also have to look at the fact that you got beat by 35 to Indiana, and you used to be that bully. I know that you were a little bit after me in Tuscaloosa, and we took a lot of pride back then in kind of turning the program around from 07 to 08 to 09 to winning the national title of doing exactly what Indiana just did, coming from a basement dumpster fire program and putting our toughness on the line and having, physical lines of scrimmage and doing all those things. That's before the big signing classes really started to spill in. So that part's been hard to stomach. I think my feelings about Kalen are still out there. I still feel like there's still a lot to be desired about what's going on inside the program. And I'd love to see an uptick in the toughness that we play with up front. And hopefully they can get some things figured out in the running game and on that defensive front and, really get this thing pointed the right direction.
We're joined by former Alabama offensive lineman Mike Johnson, also a former Falcon, where he covers the Falcons, and clearly Alabama too, keeping up with them. Mike, I agree 100% with you, and me and my dad have been saying, here, and then especially me being a former guy like yourself, I expect us to be imperfect, right? I think that's pretty clear in today's day and age with the transfer portal, NIL. You're not going to be perfect, but the one thing that stood out for me that was disappointing, I'll use those words, is not that we lost 4 total games. Again, that's expected in today's day and age, especially year 2 under a new staff and whatnot. But the disappointing part was the fashion in which we lost, in which it just felt like whether it was a lack of preparation, a lack of tenacity, a lack of toughness at times. That as a former player, in my opinion, I think is the most disappointing part. Like you said, you guys laid the foundation. You guys turned it around. And then it was on guys like myself, when guys coming in those stacked recruiting classes, we knew all the work that you guys put in. And even though we had these stars and all that, it didn't matter. We had to continue that. And so it is kind of hard to see that at times as a former player. So I agree. But you mentioned the trenches, and I'll say this, that's to me probably the key to the success of this team moving forward, right? I mean, I feel like, yes, our running backs need to play better. I still think we have a lot of young talent in there with potential, but I think overall the trench play, it just hasn't been where it had been in the past, and we know how important that is in this game of football. For you being a former offensive lineman, you know how this game works. I mean, you know how the trenches work. There's a couple things that I was, I guess, questioning, and I'm curious your thoughts. First being all the rotation that we saw with this offensive line. Talk a little bit about your thoughts on that. And 2, just, I mean, as a former offensive lineman, I mean, would that have been a challenge for you? I always say, I mean, the offensive line is probably the position that needs the most chemistry. You got to be able to gel to play with one another. Do you think that could have been somewhat of an issue, having so many guys rotating in the offensive line this past season?
I don't think Hornby and Michael Carroll, obviously you had some injuries at the guard spots here and there, and you did the best you could. But when you were doing it on purpose and you were rotating, that's one of the things I can't figure out. I know that you guys on defense deal with a lot of the same things that we would on offense, Christian. It's like in between series, you have those conversations about what your opponent is doing. Hey, this guy, when he's pointing this way, hey, I'm going to tell you to get off the double team a little bit earlier because the linebacker's flowing downhill. I'll say off. I'll try to give you a shove. Like when you're switching every other series or whatever it may be, every other quarter, it's so much harder to have those conversations. And especially at a freshman level with Michael Carroll at right tackle, I couldn't stand it. I just didn't understand how that was even possible. I mean, I played my senior year with a JUCO transfer in James Carpenter, who ended up being a first rounder, but he came in and played left tackle. And Christian, I don't know that he knew half the playbook when the season started. It was me going up the line of scrimmage, walking him through things. Hey, this is going to be a B block. Hey, this is going to be a deuce block. Hey, look at the safety rotation. We might get a weak side stunt here, things like that. I can't imagine having to do that with two different people. I mean, I just genuinely cannot fathom having to have those conversations, not only on the field, but on the bench as well, going through film. It's the camaraderie, the chemistry is of the utmost importance. And, look, it's a different day and age. Transfer portal guys come in, go out. You have to develop a lot faster with a lot of these positions. But I also think that there's something to be said for kind of digging your heels in next to a guy and getting to know one another, throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Defensively, like you said, we're always making adjustments and talking, and that is one thing that probably takes a hit when there is so much movement. But at least for us, we rotate. We like having fresh legs out there to get after the quarterback, and our big guys, they don't want to be running around so much. So we need bodies. But with you guys, and I never played offensive line, but I understand exactly what you're saying because that's how I always have viewed it. And I was, also kind of questioning, like, man, like at some point it feels like we need to just find R5 and just let them go through the growing pains and just get better together. Because I just felt like the rotation was just tough, like you said, to really finally gel. And it felt like it wasn't until probably the end of the regular season that they finally settled with, Carroll, Formby on the right side, and then I think Dewberry at left guard. Left tackle and center were pretty constant throughout the year. So I do feel like that probably, played a little bit of a role. As definitely not all of it. And that's why I want to ask you this part too. As a former offensive lineman, I know you're like me. When you watch the game, I mean, you name it, deuce blocks, B block, all the things that you used to do. Just like me as an edge guy, I mean, I'm looking at games that are being worked. We're watching it from a lens from a former perspective. A former player perspective. For you, when you watched these guys, Mike, and you saw the struggles in the run game, if you had to pinpoint, and I know it for me, when I watch the tape, it feels like it was a number of things. But from your perspective, what was our issue with running the ball? Because people come on our show and ask all the time, why can't we run the football? So from a former All-American's point of view, Mike, what was it for Alabama that just made it so difficult to run the football?
Well, let me start by saying you're right. There's a number of different issues that go into it. For me, and maybe I'm getting way too deep into the weeds, but for me, one of the things that I hated about watching our offense try to run the ball was the timing. I think you guys on the defensive side called it being, in phase, depending on how close the blocker was to the running back and whether or not you were trying to put hands on a blocker or get around the blocker and things like that. The timing has to be good on the offensive side of it. If you have a puller, you don't want the running back 8 yards behind the puller, right? You want the phasing, the timing of it to be really, really good. And you can kind of get back into that and really, dig into the laboratory and say, well, running back's not hitting the hole hard enough, or our offensive linemen aren't athletic enough, or, this H-back is not getting around the corner. But it was all timing. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a number of different reasons why you get there. There's a broad roadmap of speed for running backs and toughness and size for offensive linemen, whatever it may be. But the timing was always so bad. It felt like either the running back was running into the backs of offensive linemen before they could get off blocks, or the running back was too far away and the blocks were being beaten before the running back could get there. And, I do think that there was less talent this year at the running back stable than we've had in some time. I did love Jam, and I'm with you. I think there is talent there, but, I would see a number of times that, guys like Damian Harris used to bounce outside and then they'd make a cornerback miss one-on-one and they'd get up the field for 20 yards. I don't know that we had that ability with some of the running backs we had this year. So a lot goes into it. And look, I'll just say this too. I don't have anything against the guy, but, Ryan Grubb came from the Seattle Seahawks, and Seattle Seahawks played against the Falcons last season. And one of the talking points of the Seattle Seahawks media going through that week was how Ryan Grubb was going to be fired because he could not figure out how to run the ball in Seattle. And when he was announced in Tuscaloosa, I was like, man, I hope he figures out how to run the ball because he really didn't do a good job of it up in Seattle. Well, Seattle run the ball really, really good. They're going to be playing this weekend, and we still haven't figured it out in Tuscaloosa with Ryan Grubb. So I think there's got to be a conversation around offensive line coach. I think there's got to be a conversation around scheme and finding guys in this transfer portal window that fit what you're trying to do.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. You're echoing a lot of what we've talked about because, it's a radio show, but we stream it on YouTube and I pull up the tape. We got the all 22 and we try to diagnose. And I see a lot of what you're talking about, the timing, offensive line, not necessarily finishing blocks at times or not climbing up. Again, back to timing at the right time, with backers making tackles when they really should have had a guard on them at some point. But I'm with you, man. I think that has to be figured out. And I don't know if it's something that they can do this off season. Hopefully they can, because I feel like a lot is riding on that. But I don't know how much you've seen out of some of these new faces. I mean, it looks like we've got a whole new group here, a new wave of guys via the transfer portal. But I mean, how confident are you that maybe some of these guys that they went out and got via the transfer portal can come in here and make a difference? I mean, Mike, do you think because let's just be honest, I mean, I don't think Grubb's going anywhere, not this season at least. If you think he's here and potentially as of now, there's been no news of any change with the offensive line coach, do you think just changing the personnel with some of these guys, which again, if you haven't seen them, I'll just tell you, I mean, most of them were like depth pieces from where they came from. And I've watched tape on them. I mean, they definitely are players with potential, but none of them are really proven outside of maybe the Mississippi State guy that we just landed yesterday. He had some starts, but he definitely needs some technique work. And a Cal Poly center, who he's going to have that adjustment from going from that league to the SEC. I mean, are you confident that them acquiring guys from the transfer portal is enough? And do you think it gets done, or do you think we're still probably in store for another season of maybe struggling running the football?
You want the good news or the bad news?
Hey, listen. We tell all our listeners, man, listen, we don't do the sunshine pump, and we call it straight how it is. So tell us, Mike. Let us know. You be honest.
Here's what I'm going to tell you, man. I get a lot of questions, and I just said what I said about Ryan Grubb. I've had this discussion with a number of different people, and say, I'll have Bama fans that talk to me, and look, man, I bleed crazy. I'm like you, but I get a lot of questions about talent on the offensive line, and here's what I'll tell you. You remember that team they had in Washington that played the national title a few years ago, Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb?
Yep.
They didn't run the ball well there. I think their running game was ranked like 104th in the country with Michael Penix and Roma Dunze and all those guys out wide. They threw the ball out. Mm-hmm. And that was the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. That's not a slappy group, right? That was a really, really, really good group of offensive linemen, and yet we're still hovering around 100th ranked. I think that at some point it just becomes the identity of the coaching staff. Now, I'll give you the bright side of how I feel about it is I do think that this group will benefit from maybe having a little more athleticism. I haven't watched tape on some of the new guys, but I've looked at some of the height and weight. It seems like they're trying to get smaller, more athletic players. Maybe becomes a little bit easier to climb to the second level. I mean, God knows, you know this better than anybody. I used to come around 10 years ago to talk to Jeff Allen and Jeremy Giselle up there, and I'd say, God, Jeremy, I don't know if I could have started on these offensive lines with some of the guys they had back in 2015, 2016, 2017. These guys are 350 pounds. I played my senior year at 305. Yeah. And so I think there is some upside there. I really, really do. And maybe that's what they're aiming for. But I don't think there's a quick fix unless there's a change on the staff, like you just brought up, and they move on from Coach Cap or whoever else is in the building. I don't have high hopes. I think that you're going to continue to see a team that struggles in the run game. I think we have to excel in the passing game, much the way we did during that winning streak last year, if we're going to to overcome some things. I don't know what the future holds. The quarterback spot, maybe you start including the quarterback runs a little bit more, the zone reads and things like that, and maybe that can get you over the hump. But I'd be lying to you if I said that I think it's going to be that much better to where all of a sudden you're one of the top rushing teams in the country. From everything I know from this staff and the players they have, I just don't see that big of a leap. Hopefully a small one, if nothing.
Yeah, and I agree. I think when you go back and look, I mean, the system, like you said, I mean, they had a 1,000-yard rusher, but I think if you really go back and look, it still wasn't necessarily their forte. It was something that they did enough to complement what they wanted to do through the air, which I think that's probably, like you mentioned, I mean, the goal of their system. I don't think it's ever going to look like what some people might anticipate, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Would I love to see a return of that physicality in the running game, knowing when we get that 4-minute offense, we can line up and we're running the football like Miami does, or even 3rd and 2, 4th and 2. And you know what I mean? And the defense knows what's coming, but we're running the football down your throat. I want to see that. That's what I watched you guys do it. That's what we did with Derrick Henry. I want to do that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm with you. I don't see that happening, but I just hope they can get to a point where it is good enough to give us that balance that you have to have offensively. Because last year, me and my dad sat on here, we kept saying everybody would celebrate how we were playing and we were having a lot of success with the air. But when you turn on the tape and you're watching the lack of running game, you and I both know it's only a matter of time until it catches up to you. And I kept saying that on the post-game show I do on the network. I'm like, man, like, one thing, I really want us to get our running game. I really want us to get our running game going. And I've had, I guess, like a false sense of hope after Vanderbilt. I think Jam had maybe like 135 or something. I was like, all right, they look good. Here we go. it vanished. Yep. So I don't know. They got to figure something out. Mike, I appreciate you hanging out with us. A real quick last question I got for you, man. When you look at this team right now, how do you view them in terms of, we just got done watching Miami, Indiana, two physically dominant teams go at it for a national championship. And again, I know it's real early and you probably haven't seen all these guys that they've added, and we'll know more after the spring, but where things stand with the departures that we've had and some of the additions, where are you at with this roster for your outlook for 2026, or even just for this football team? Do you have some level of confidence that it can build off of what they did last year, or some of the positives? Or do you feel like, at least for me, I think with some of the youth, I'm just being honest with you, I think right now going into the year, you're probably looking at maybe a 9-3 caliber team. Again, just right now where things stand. Hopefully they improve and get better, but just with so much youth and so many question marks, I feel like a lot of people are going to view Alabama like that. What's your outlook?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that it's so much harder now, Christian, to really forecast from year to year in college football. Sure. You know, you and I used to look at it in our day and you go, oh, you got this signing class. They've been developing this kid for 3 years. This guy's going to take a leap. This running back's been marinating. This guy graduated, but man, this guy's returning. And I don't know that you know so much from year to year. But I will say, and you brought up Indiana. Indiana gives me hope, because I think that Indiana, looking at them, they are built out of toughness, right? They're built out of tenacity. This is a team that would bully you around. We saw them bully Alabama around. So I think that if you can find that, right, if you can find that, then you really can take a leap. But I'm with you. I think 9-3 next season would, make me feel good, honestly. I think that when you look at what has happened in the portal, we don't really know, right? I mean, it's hard to forecast. You don't know. They got good players or mediocre players or players that fit the system. But I think we're getting ready to find out a lot this season about Kalen DeBoer, his staff. I think if you can get to 9-3, I actually feel good about that. If you can keep status quo from what you've done the last couple of years, I'll say this, though. 9-3 can look a lot different, than 8-4. And the 3 losses or the 4 losses you saw this past year, I'm not trying to see you get the doors blown off by Georgia in the playoffs and, lose the season opener to a bad Florida State or whatever else it may be. We got to compete. We went, 35, 40 some odd years without losing by that many points. And if that's going to be a staple in Tuscaloosa, I think we'll be turning the page sooner rather than later. So got to get it pointed in the right direction. And 9-3 is 9-3, but I feel good about that, honestly, knowing what I know.
Yeah, listen, at this point, I'm with you. It's less about the numbers so much. I just want to see the product. I want to see the competitive nature. I want to see that spirit. And And I'll be fine with whatever result that we do get, as long as we can get back to playing that style of football. Mike, man, I appreciate you taking the time to join us. I know you're busy with the new hire covering the Falcons and all the good stuff that you're doing, man. Before we let you go, man, tell everybody how they can keep up with you. I know you got your show. You cover the Falcons. I know we got a lot of Falcons fans. How can everybody listen to all the great work that you're doing?
Yeah, man, we're over here on 99 The Game over near Atlanta. We're the official Falcons, Atlanta Hawks, Atlanta United, and we're on every morning for anybody, that's in the Atlanta area. Check us out, 6 to 9 a.m. But you can find all the info on my social at mpjohnson79 on the Twitter, man. So I appreciate it, Christian. Anytime. I've told you this before, man. My dad loves your show. My dad listens to you every single day on the app down there, man. So shout out to him, and appreciate you keeping him entertained every day.
Oh, well, I appreciate him putting up with me and my dad, man. Sometimes we cut loose a little bit going back and forth, but I think that's probably what he enjoys about it, some of that banter. But tell him, shout out to Mr. Johnson, man, for being an awesome listener, and obviously his son joined us. Mike, I appreciate you, brother. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks, buddy. Anytime.
Yes, sir. Good deal. Former Alabama All-American offensive lineman Mike Johnson just joined us. Big thanks to him taking some time out of his day. He does cover the Falcons, like he said. I know we got a lot of listeners in Atlanta that are also Falcons fans. So make sure you guys check out all the good work that he does on his show and his platform over there. Again, check out his social media. You can get all the details on that. We got to hit a quick timeout. We come back. We'll respond. We'll keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
Career reboot at My Computer Career.
All right. Sorry, guys. I got a dog that's not feeling great, so I keep getting up and letting them out, man. Yeah, we can stack these real quick. Let's just go ahead and stack them, Reed. That way we can catch back up. Yeah, shout out to Mike, man. He's great, man. Does a really nice job shooting you straight, breaking it down. I was really interested, man, getting his thoughts. I was really looking forward to that. So that was great. 3Ls better look close competitive. And again, I mean, hell, we can go 11-1 for all that matters. I'm just my outlook, at least. And I'll speak for myself. I just kind of feel like with where we're at, our schedule, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's just kind of the number I feel like. So that's all. I mean, I know some people take that as being negative. I don't think our listeners do. I think you guys already know. We're just shooting you guys straight from our perspective. I mean, you guys see, man, what experience and veteran players can do. And you look at a team like ours right now that's very young, a whole bunch of new faces on the offense line with a new quarterback that haven't played. I mean, just expect there to be growing pains. Just like he said, I mean, can't really expect the running game's probably going to be that much better. So that means whoever the quarterback is, a lot's going to be riding on their shoulders again for the third quarterback in a row. But he made a good point, though. He brought up, the athletic ability of these quarterbacks that we do have. If you go back and look at Jalen Milroe's numbers with this staff, our running game actually was decent. Why? Because of him and his ability to run the football. Quarterback run game, quarterback plus one runs. So it makes you wonder, do they try to start maybe implementing some more of that, quarterback design run? I think that's actually probably a very smart idea. They started doing it a little bit with Ty. If you guys remember at the end of the season, right? They let Ty get a couple carries, and there's some success with that. So we'll have to see. All right, we got a call to get to. I'll give you guys my thoughts on the new transfer. By the way, I haven't even done that yet. Javen James. I watched this tape. I got it pulled up right here. By the way, I watched. What was the first game I watched? What was the first game that I watched yesterday? Might have been. Did they play Texas? I want to say it was Texas. Yeah, I want to say it was Texas. Anyway, I watched one of his games yesterday. I watched some of this Missouri game. The other game I watched was much better than this game. He definitely struggled in this game for sure. But I will say, listen, you need all the bodies that you can get, or at least options, potential, and you having a guy that at least has starting experience that just makes you feel better, even if he's not, Jordan Seaton. But I'll talk about kind of my thoughts on him in a second once we come back. But I don't think he's a guaranteed pencil-in starter at left tackle, even though he is the most experienced. Just based off of what I've seen on tape, I wouldn't necessarily say he's penciled in as the guy. But, I mean, he's like any competition. It makes everybody better as well. Plus, if you at least have one guy that has played in the conference, gave up 3 sacks total. And I think some of his issues actually are correctable with coaching, to be honest with you. I mean, from a tools perspective, he's got some good tools to work with. He's a strong guy, physical, heavy-handed. But I'll tell you real quick while we got time. His biggest issue in pass pro, he's a big two-hand punch guy, right? And so, as an edge guy for me, especially somebody like me that's very technical, right? Like I've always been technical in terms of my rush. I'm always trying to get tackles' hands. Like I want them to punch, right? I want their hands. Why? Because if I can beat the hands, I beat the man. He has a habit of he's a big two-hand punch guy. And you see that out of like strong physical guys that like to get like punch on, on people. They do this a lot. And when they get punched, like if a guy landed his punch on me, like best believe it's knocking me off my path, especially if they're strong. However, if you got somebody like me who's, looking for hand combat, it gives me something to work with. And if I beat his hands, he's cooked, which happened to him a lot in this game. That's why, like for me, like what used to get me was when tackles. I should have asked Mike to talk on this, but there's a lot of different technique that they can do. A lot of them are now taught, to hide their hands, right? So when they're getting in their kick, they're kicking back. They're not showing their hands. They might flash one to get you to throw a move. That way, when I throw the move, then they can go ahead and grab. Like, I think if he worked on technique like that, it'd make him a lot better. But right now, I see a lot of this. He's just giving hands. I mean, I would feed off that. Like, that's what I wanted you to do. And that's when he starts getting in trouble. But again, I think you can kind of coach some of that. But we'll talk about that here in a second. And welcome back into this Thursday. This is Miller's 9-12-30. Big shout out the former Alabama offensive lineman, All-American when he was here, Mike Johnson, former Falcon as well, where he now covers the Falcons. Make sure you guys, I know we got a lot of folks in Atlanta and Georgia, big Falcons fans. Listen to Mike's show, man. He does a really good job in the mornings. Plus, he does a lot of Alabama content as well, and that's why we wanted to get him on here to really break down this offensive line, right? Get his perspective as a former offensive lineman, and he shot us straight, and he gave us his insight on everything. So big thanks to him for joining us. They are busy right now after they just hired a new coach, so it was nice to be able to get him on here this week. But that said, if you guys missed it, just go back, rewind a little bit, and listen to that interview with Mike. It was really, really good stuff. And speaking of offensive line, before we go to the phone lines, Javen James, the most recent addition to this Alabama football offensive line via the transfer portal, the most experienced addition that we've added, in my opinion. I guess you got the Cal Poly guy, Racing Delgatti, 2-year starter as well. This guy, I think he started maybe 1 year at State. I think he was at Akron before. Regardless, he's a starter from the SEC. He's got the prototypical size, 6'5", 320 pounds. He's made 21 starts, but I think that is including some of his time at Akron. But regardless, this is probably one of the better portal additions, in my opinion. I'm not saying he's a penciled-in starter at left tackle. I'll be honest with you. I was hoping when I watched the tape he would give me more of that vibe. After watching the tape, I'm not sure I can say that he's the most technically advanced guy. I can't say that he's going to be this huge, left tackle piece that I was hoping for maybe. But at the end of the day, that's the reality of the transfer portal. You're not going to necessarily see these guys like a Jordan Seaton. And if you do, you're paying allegedly $100,000 just to get them to visit. We can talk about that later, which is pretty crazy to think about. But what I will say is a couple of notes that I had from watching him. I just was talking with some of our listeners here on the stream. I will say he's got some stuff to like about him for sure. Number one, the experience alone. You have a guy that's played in the conference. He started. I've watched now 2 games of his. We'll probably stay after the stream and watch a little bit more of his tape with you guys. But I'll say this. He's a strong individual. You see the power. I know people are mentioning like his running grade or run blocking grade. I told you guys, I don't really go off that. I go off of what my eyes see. And I see a guy that's strong at the point of attack. He's a heavy-handed individual. I mean, he when he punches a guy, they move, right? Like he can get some movement up front. So don't just go off of a running grade, the run block grade that you see online. Like if you watch the individual, I think more so of that is probably a couple of things. Now I'll get to that. But definitely heavy-handed. His kick step and pass pro is pretty solid, pretty decent footwork for a guy at 6'5", 320. Now, some of the things I want to see a little bit more out of him, I want to see him finish better. He kind of has that tendency to not kind of almost like let off of blocks or not really finish the way I would want to see our guys finish. And I think that's probably part of what gets him in trouble at times, whether it's in the run blocking or even in pass pro. Kind of just like, okay, I did my job, but not really sustaining blocks. That can be improved on. But again, that you can fix that with coaching, right? We can uninstall that habit and download a better habit, hopefully with good coaching. Keeping his feet moving after engaging. Sometimes he's easily shed or kind of whiffs, it looks like, just because I feel like it's kind of a similar habit. He makes that initial contact, right, which is physical contact, but it's almost like he relies so much on that initial power but doesn't necessarily finish, which again, those are things that we can clean up. And then I talked about this with the stream, but in pass pro, what really stood out, which I think gets him in trouble, is, being a strong individual, they like that punch, right? They want to get a punch on guys. I want to see him mix it up, maybe flash a hand or hold your hands. Don't just give your hands up to the edge rusher. Because again, somebody like me, that's what I wanted. Like that, the whole point of me using a stab club was to get the tackle to shoot his hands. I need hands to work with so I can have a target. He gives them up too easy, right? So he's kick, and then when he's in range, he's looking to punch, and because he's relying on his strength. He's a strong guy. But what happens is, if you watch this Missouri tape, when you see rushers like Damon, I forgot his last name, but Nine and the other guy, they're consistently beating him off the edge with their hands, right? Because he's giving them an easy target. It's punching is fine, but you gotta do it right. You know what I mean? You can't just be giving up your hands like that. So a lot of the things I noticed seem to be on the technical side of things, which I think we can coach that and help him improve on those things to be an even better player. And the last thing is, I know people mention penalties. I don't know the total. I know in the Missouri game, he had like 2 consecutive false start penalties. Again, I'd hope that we can help coach that, hold your water a little bit longer. So really, there's nothing I see in this game that seems like it's just like, oh man, we can't fix that. A lot of it, I think, can be improved on. And I like the fact that he's got experience. I like his size. I like the power that he plays with. He moves relatively well. So I think we just need to coach him up, fine-tune some things. But the way I view him, like I said, I don't see him as a pencil-in starter just yet, even though he did start at his previous location. I think you bring him in saying, hey, he could potentially start, but let's let him compete with the young guys. And I think what ultimately happens is it lifts the competition, right? So it's going to elevate the young guys because now they got an older, experienced guy who's going to be pushing to start. But then it's also going to make him better because he's not just going to be guaranteed a spot because he's got some young guys that are potentially pushing to start at that position as well. So I'll say this. I do think it's a really big pickup nonetheless. We needed some experience in that room. We needed somebody that, especially the left tackle, I feel like it's really important. You know, that's the blind side of the quarterback. And I think it ultimately just helps add depth and more potential to that room that hopefully we can start plugging and playing these guys, figuring out where they fit best to give us the best chance possible to improve our offensive line play going into 2026. So those are my thoughts on Javen James. Again, I'll stay and watch some tape with you guys on the stream after the show. But let's do this. Let's hit a timeout to stay on schedule. When we come back, we got Lexus on the phone lines. We're going to go there, and Raymond. We'll get to both those phone calls when we come back. And then again, we'll wrap things up on the radio side, and we'll watch and break down a little bit of Javen James tape from Mississippi State this past season right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
Looking for a new.
Why do I cringe when you say they can coach that? Like I said, they're coachable things. Now, I'm not saying, I have the most confidence that we're going to just refine his play and make him an All-American. I can't go as far as saying that. But what I'm saying is, a lot of his issues I feel like can be coached. Now, some of like the tendencies of not finishing and whatnot, I'll be honest. Sometimes, guys, I'm not calling them lazy, but sometimes players are that's just them as players. It is what it is. Here he is working right here. That's the other thing. So, like, you see, there's sometimes he has a nice kick step, right? You don't want to turn and just open up like that. I get it. They've been hitting him with speed, so he's been threatened. But again, a lot of this is technique based, though, right? And I know he don't want to get a holding penalty, but there's just a lot of this you see on tape where, like, he engages initially and then he lets off. That's one of the things that consistently came up that I was like, definitely want to clean that up, especially talking about the issues we've had with not sustaining blocks. But I wish I had these plays like actually numbers so I could show you specifically. But you see how he is when he just punches, like he's like over reliant. He's just punching. He's just trying to punch everything, right? Not really bringing his feet with it. You see what I'm saying? You see, he's just punching. And you see what's happening. This is in the run game. This isn't even pass rush. But you see what happens in football, man. Like, defenders want to have hands to work off of, right? See, that's why you gotta bring your feet. You gotta keep your feet going. That's why I mentioned that. You gotta stay engaged. You gotta lock up. You can't just push and punch everything, right? But again, that's technique stuff. We can work on that. Now they should be passing this off. But with him not getting depth, he can't pass this off because literally the defender that he should be picking up, because these two guys are working together, is literally behind him. So which they're doing some type of kind of like jump set, like he's not even getting a kick. And I get it, this guy's working down. So he's doing what he should do, but with them being on different levels, that's a problem there. I'll go back though, because this is like almost all the way through, but there's some good clips of him in the running game to just kind of really show his power. He's a strong dude, man. Like, you watch him throw some dudes around. You can see there's definitely some potential there. But pass pro, we just got to refine some stuff. You think we'll go for the Miami running back? I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I know there's some word that we recruited him coming out of high school, so there's definitely probably a relationship there. I have to go back and watch him. I don't remember him like very well, honestly, in terms of like him as a player. I think there's a chance if we feel like. I think we still could add another back, but I think it has to be the right back, right? I don't think they just want to add anybody, but we'll have to see. But I do think there's a chance. And welcome back into the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Let's go to the phone lines and hear from you guys. 205-342-9904. First up, we've got Lexus. Lexus, welcome in.
Hey, Christian. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Lexus. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Happy New Year, I think. I know this it's too late to say that, but okay.
No, it's all right. No, it's been, we hadn't talked since last year, so you're right. Happy New Year to you too. How's everything been?
It's going well, thank you. How about you? How you doing?
Yeah, we're good. We're busy as ever with all this madness in the transfer portal, but I guess that's a good problem, man. That means we got a lot of work that we can do and a lot of content to make. So it's going well. I appreciate you asking.
All right. Yes, I was just calling. I wanted to kind of back a couple of episodes. Sometimes I get to catch you. Let me first say, if I call you and then I hang up, it's because I'm at work. I get a call type of thing.
No worries.
And that's what happened the other day. But I was listening to an episode that I wanted to kind of touch on really quickly. And I think you were talking to a gentleman about your recruiting style, Alabama's recruiting style, as opposed to what Kirby Smart does at Georgia. What I'll say that I cannot answer that, first of all. I'm going to let all of you people that have played and coached this game that got way more sense than me deep dive into all of that. But what I will say, one thing that Kirby Smart do, as a UGA fan, I follow him very, very closely, and I have a nephew that's also an alumni. So I follow him very closely, and I notice what he tries to do. He has no other choice but to adjust to this new era of college football, whether we like it or not, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. It's a whole lot I can't stand about it as a fan, just a football fan, period. But I think as a head coach, and I think you could ask Dabo Sweeney from Clemson this, you kind of almost have to adjust or be in his position when you refuse to adjust. And I think what Kirby does is a good job of is picking people from the portal, yes, going to the portal, but also he does very, very heavy high school recruiting still. So he kind of still likes to mix the old in with adjusting to the new, if that makes any sense, you know? By still saying, listen, I'm still going to get my high school kids. He always, if you hear him talk, his conversation is always about the team is young. They're young. And I'm just as hard on Georgia as you all are on Alabama. But I do kind of have a little grace with that because he still recruits heavy high school. And then he kind of plugs and plays, if you will, in the portal. Like, I'm missing this, you know. And that's kind of his philosophy by it. I'm not going to go all the way through school by just getting everybody out the portal. You know, as a kind of a Colorado fan, side note, not a Colorado fan per se, but more so a Coach Prime fan, to be honest. I also watch and support Colorado. And I noticed Coach Prime does that. He kind of heavy doses the portal and then do a little high schooling here and there. So I guess it's more than one way to skin a cat. And at the end of the day, these coaches are paid a whole lot of money. I don't feel sorry for none of them. You just get on the cotton picking field and win when you finish.
That's right.
And I just wanted to kind of respond to that to say that's what I think Kirby does. I think probably better than most coaches because he's really heavy with high school recruits. And with this new portal era, I think a whole lot of schools dig into the portal way more than he do. If you go look online and check and see how many people is in the portal, it might be a handful or two. And then he does a great job. I don't know what Kirby Smart be doing because he ain't cute or nothing, so I'm not sure what he's doing. But
I can tell you he recruited me. He came. Matter of fact, once Coach Rump got hired, he took over my recruitment. Him and Kevin Steele, because Kevin Steele was from South Carolina, so they both kind of were involved. But listen, he just tells guys, man, look, they might not necessarily pay a whole bunch, kind of similar, I feel like, kind of how we are. Not saying we won't, but you get what I'm saying. I think both schools, Alabama and Georgia, I mean, we have resources, but we're going to do it a certain way, almost our way, so to speak. But I think what he sells them is, hey, look, I'm going to develop you. And at the end of the day, NIL is great, but the ultimate goal is NFL, not NIL. And I'm going to give you the best chance to do that. That's his pitch. I mean, that's what it was for me. I mean, he's going to reference all the guys that he's coached and developed, not just all of the guys that he's done at Georgia, which he's done a great job since being named the head coach, but even here. I mean, you're talking about if you're a linebacker, he can go back and Dante Hightower, CJ Mosley, the list goes on of all the linebackers, Reuben Foster that he worked with starting here all the way to Georgia with all the number of players that you guys have had drafted recently. So, yeah, no, and I think listen, it's all about philosophy and really what your team needs. And if you're able to recruit and get good players, I'm all for that and develop them. I think that is important. But you're right. At some point, you do have to mix in a little bit of the transfer portal, supplement some positions of need, which y'all have done, right? Looking at the wide receiver position, y'all have done a nice job trying to get some skill guys to help out. And I think that approach definitely works as well. Like you said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Just really depends on what your team needs.
Yeah, and I think he's done a decent job overall of trying to adapt to the new way, because I don't think he likes it no more than Nick Saban did. That's why Nick Saban left, to be honest. I know that's why he left. He just hated it. And probably didn't, and probably honestly and truthfully, probably didn't feel like he could keep up his championship ways with this new era, because now you got a little, what they say, a little better playing field, if you will, with other schools being able to compete, because now they can go get, players that they probably normally wouldn't be able to get in the old era. So I think he says, I'm going to keep some of this old flair, but I do recognize at the same time that I'm going to have to deal with some of the new. So I think that's kind of what he does. I don't know what Alabama does. I think that's kind of what he does. But then I'm going to jump off this phone. I wanted to say something really quick. I went and looked one more time. At that, because I'm like you, I'm an eye person. So I went and looked one more time at that playoff game between Indiana and Alabama. And I want to say something. I'm not sure what Coach DeBoer was thinking, and he makes way more money than me. So maybe he can explain this away. So the beginning of that game, Christian, was physical. They was battling back and forth. And Alabama's defense in particularly was doing well. Indiana had 3 points. So I'm not sure why Coach DeBoer panicked. It seems like with his calling. Either he made the call or he allowed the call. You're the head coach, so I'm blaming you for everything. So why did he go for it on 4th and 1 on his own 34-yard line with 12 minutes left in the second quarter? You're down 3-0. I just think if you go back and look at that game, I just think that changed the whole trajectory of that game. And I'm usually one that's quick to say one play, just one call just ain't going to kill the whole, one bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch, right?
Right.
But I'm not so sure that didn't happen in that game because Mendoza, he was rattled. Alabama's defense was playing. And by the way, I'm just going to make a quick side note and say, I think Alabama could have beaten Miami. I'm not so sure nobody would have beaten Indiana, not this year. Because again, they were a jack of all trades, and then they were a master at a couple. So it's hard when you're very disciplined, like they are, and just don't make a lot of mistakes. And then you better not make one, because they capitalize very well. They're just too darn good at that. Then it's hard to beat a team when they're like that. So I'm still scratching my head, though. Maybe you can answer this. I'm going to hang up and let you answer this. Why did Coach
go ahead.
do that?
Well, when I was breaking down that game, to me, I thought there was 2 defining moments, and I'm with you. Coach Saban said all the time, there's never just one play that makes or breaks a game. But, I mean, yeah, there's plays that feels like it, but realistically, there's a whole bunch of other things that lead up to that. But if I had to pick 2 defining moments in that game, it without a doubt was that failed conversion right there. Because I want to say Indiana then went up to go with, I think they gave them a 10-point lead, because I think they scored off of that maybe, if I'm remembering that right. But then also the fumble that we had when Ty Simpson scrambled, he got the first down, he didn't get down. Pons laid a shot on his back, cracked his rib, and he fumbled the football. It felt like the momentum, the life of our team, everything just was completely shifted after that. And I think that did play a big role. But you're right. I mean, defensively, we started out that game as about as good as you could. I mean, we had 2 sacks in the first series, and defense held them to a field goal a little bit later, and things were looking, fine. But that did seem like a pretty big point in the game, and it did make you wonder why be so aggressive in that moment. I just was talking about that the other day. I didn't feel like it was necessary. So you're not the only one. Well, Lexus, thank you so much for calling. It's great to catch up with you. Great stuff as always. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You do the same. Thank you for your time. Take
Yes,
care.
ma'am. Thank you. Take care. Good deal. All right, we got to get out of here on the radio side of things. I'm going to hang out on the stream, watch a little bit of tape for a minute, but then we'll be back here tomorrow right here, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
You've been listening to the Miller's Edge, tackling sports daily.
Reed, Chase, appreciate you guys, man. Let me see. Hold on. Ingram's coming back to coach, or is he satisfied? Well, he does more than just that podcast. You know, he works with Fox and what they're doing pregame. But I don't know, man. I'm just telling you guys, there's a big difference between doing media and coaching. Like, I mean, I have friends that are coaches. I do some media stuff, and I'm just telling you, in terms of being able to have the schedule and all the time to do a bunch of other different stuff versus if you're a coach, I mean, you're talking about 6:30 to probably about 7 or 8 in the evening every single day almost. It just depends on really what you want to do. But it's definitely hard to beat media versus coaching when it comes to just availability and time to do other things. That's why I prefer doing media. But I'll watch a little bit of this tape with you guys before we get out of here, and just to show you, this is again not his best game. I'll try to go back to Texas here in a minute, but this is where he had a couple false starts. They're on the road at Missouri. I wouldn't necessarily like put too much into this as if like, oh man, he's like turnover prone. Maybe if we watch a few more games and he's got a number of penalties each game, I'm not 100% sure. But the Texas game, I don't remember seeing anything. But then they line back up, and I think he gets another one. Yeah, flinches right there. But like I said, it's early in the game on the road. Not going to put too much into that. But like Brandon said, man, I mean, you can't overly judge from a game where he's going against two potential top edge rushers when they do enter the NFL draft. I can't remember about the other guy. I know Damon's in the transfer portal, but the other one, I want to say he's still got another year. But when they come out, they're definitely going to be some top picks. But just looking a little bit at his kick step, like see, like when he plays with good technique, I mean, you can see it, right? Working to that spot. Now this one, he's going against a different guy. This isn't one of the other edge guys, but does a nice job there. But we'll get to some other clips where you'll see when he starts kind of getting in trouble. And you'll see some of the things I was talking about. Ain't worth it for Mark. Like I said, it just depends on what you want to do. I mean, if you're invested in coaching, man, I mean, it's definitely great, you know, working with guys. But like I said, it requires a lot. Go to the tight copy. So I'm trying to skip around to some clips that are worth it just because we can't just let it run. I wish I could, but unfortunately we can't. That right tackle that they have, though, that's a big dude. I don't know who the right tackle is, but dude is massive. Really nice job right here. All right, this is a good example of what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying about the punch? See how we're just leaning, punching. We're just giving up an easy target, right? You see what the guy does? I mean, as soon as he gets those hands, but with the right coach, I mean, we can help work on all that, right? Like the good tackles, man, like they're not going to give hands to like the last minute, right? They'll even bait you. Like I said, you'll see techniques. They're either keeping them close, they're not going to give you any hands to the last minute until they're within range and they can really, latch on, or they're going to flash. You might see them flash a hand, that way you give hands, and then they're going to swat. Like, I mean, like I need to find some tape of like a good tackle. Hold on, let me see. All the Trent Williams highlights are going to be him mauling people in the running game. I'm trying to think of what tackle I could show you guys. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'll think of it at some point. Oh, my hat. Yeah, so it's custom made. It's custom made, but I mean, if you guys would be interested in stuff like that, I can definitely start getting them made. I was trying to see if I had any of my, because I have like Miller's Edge hats that I'm thinking about bringing back if you guys are interested. But this says Dale Tide, which is basically like, it's like saying roll tide in Spanish, more or less. It's not a direct translation. It's more like let's go tide, but it's basically like roll tide. But if you're wondering what that says, I know a lot of people are like, is that Dale Tide? Dale Tide is how you pronounce it, but I don't know. I speak Spanish, and I thought it was cool. Just something different. Nowadays everybody's always trying to put a twist on something. But I gave Superfly. We had another person in here that wanted one, and I gave him the information on how to make it. So if you're interested, just let me know, and I can help you get one made. Yeah, I got some Miller's Edge hats. I don't have one in here right now, but you've probably seen me wear it. But if you guys are interested, what's up, Offsides? Yeah, if you guys are interested, I'll definitely bring them back. Start making some more. Yeah, Jordan Seaton's a good one. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, let's see if he's got. I just want to show you some like the technique that I'm talking about. That way, which I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying, but I always like going to tape. Like you see how he's patient with his hands, but then when he does go to punch, I mean, like he's engaging, like he's locking them, right? He's not just going to punch, like push type deal. Like it's intentional, right? And then he's finishing too. Like I think Javen James can work on that too. You gotta sustain your blocks. You can't just say, all right, that's a running game. Let me see if we can see some more pass pro clips. That's a problem. Like most of offensive lineman tape, I feel like it's always them like mauling guys in the running game. Well, see, he's already latched on. I need to see it before that. I need to just pull up a Colorado game. Yeah, Sewell is really good too. Well, shoot, if you guys want to start repping the merch, man, I'll definitely get some more stuff made. This dude though is insane how athletic he is for his size too. I don't know. I'll find some at some point to kind of give you a better idea, but I just want to show y'all good reps too. That way, you can kind of compare the difference and see what I'm talking about. But you can see, I know it's quote unquote a double team right here, but you just see like that push. I mean, he'll move people though. I mean, he's strong. But I think at the end of the day, it's more so one of these pieces where a dude's got experience. The competition only makes everybody else better. Good kind of fallback piece if the young guys aren't really ready. I mean, same kind of thing here, right? Like, you'll see what I'm talking about, the over-reliance on the power. Like the kick step, I'm good with, right? Like right here, solid kick step. Right? We engage. But see, we gotta finish it. You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of that, like not really finishing, right? Not really latching on. Like you saw the clips of Jordan Seaton we just saw. I mean, like he's engaged, locked in. This guy's he's just looking for that initial punch, which he's got power at the point of attack, but just got to finish it. Yeah, they're getting construction done on their stadium, I think. But yeah, what Seaton's doing is crazy right now. 100K a visit. I heard he did fly on like a private plane or something to something. It's kind of wild. Wait, I can pull this over. Same kind of deal, even in the run game, right? Like he's so reliant on just his power. He's looking just to punch and have power at the point of attack instead of, you know what I mean, really working on technique. And like I told you guys, man, offensive linemen, best thing they can do, because it's not a penalty, is get under those shoulder pads and they hold you right here on those plates, right? You're not getting off of that. You know, so if he can keep working on that technique, man, again, he's so strong. I mean, he's got the strength, moves well. I think technique would just go a long way with him. You see it? See what everybody's trying to do? Everybody's working what we call scissors, two-hand swipe. Because guys like this that are just looking just to punch like that, they're giving you what you want. Now, granted, I mean, this ain't like a bad rep, but you see it's a consistent thing. So we just got to work on his technique. But the tools, I mean, the tools are there. Tools and experience, man. I'll take them. We need one of those hats that says gold. Gold. This is a nice job running them by. Dude tries to work the hands, but see, that's why you see why there's a reason all these edge rushers are doing the same moves against him, because that's what he struggles with, right? I mean, there's a reason. Nobody's really trying to work a whole bunch of power on him. He's a strong guy, probably not ideal, but a guy that's just looking at two-hand punch all the time, best thing you can do is beat the hands. I mean, you even see him, like you see his hands geared up, like he's just waiting to punch. Now, granted, not in pass pro right there, but random question. But do you recall who's the toughest O-line you went against in practice? Yeah, no, for sure. Cam Robinson was always tough. Just, I mean, length. I mean, Cam was like 6'7", but had really good footwork, really long arms, was strong to where he could, you know, I mean, once he got his hands in there, you weren't going nowhere. So Cam was tough. You know, anytime you have like that's why length. I mean, like you hear these people talk about it like when they're doing breakdowns, but like sometimes I don't think people really like from my experience, like I mean, like when like length is important, not just from like a talking point, but like just even for me, like if I'm going against a tackle with really long arms, it made it that much harder because with his reach and his wingspan, I can't. Because that's what I'm trying to tell you. A lot of these offense line, they want to get engaged with you because why? They don't want to bend. They don't want to have to get out in space and block a guy with speed. Like they want to be able to latch on and hold guys, right? Now you're playing their game. So the guy with length, man, like it's tough because that dude can get his paws on you from way out. And plus, if I'm trying to work a move and I'm trying to go to a stab, like I said, his arms are so long that – he's still going to be able to grab me. And if he grabs me, it's hard for me to work off of that. So I mean, Cam Robinson had like everything. Like Cam had like the whole package at offensive tackle. Jedrick Wills was really good in terms of technique. Like I talk about like tackle technique. Jed, I mean, he wouldn't give me hands. You know what I mean? Like he's smart with that. He knows like you don't just give up your hands. So he never gave his hands, but he did a lot of flash techniques. So he'd flash his hands so I would shoot. And then as soon as I would shoot, he's going to SWAT. I mean, like he was very technical what he was doing, and he was strong too. Jedrick Wills was a really good tackle. Jonah was good too. I mean, Jonah was probably. I would say Jonah was just as good. Jonah was susceptible though, where like you could get Jonah off of power. You know what I mean? Like Jonah would be a little susceptible to power at times, so I would have to work like a long arm on him, like sell speed and go to power. Jed, it was hard for me to work power on Jed because he was strong, man. And let me think. In terms of like when we were doing team run, Cornbread, Devontae, or I'm drawing a blank on Cornbread's actual name, not Devontae. What was Cornbread's first name? I'm drawing a blank. Damn, I can't believe I done forgot Cornbread's actually name, and he literally went by Cornbread. So I mean, Deontay Brown. I think it's Deontay. Why am I thinking Devontae? I think Deontay Brown. Yeah, Jed was strong, boy. He was strong. But Cornbread played guard, and we used to do team run, and Cornbread was like 360-something pounds. And he wasn't super tall either, so that meant he was more compact. And so, man, dude, Cornbread used to be, God, I feel like he was like, you're going to get a concussion. Anytime you had to close on that counter, they're running, when he would pull, they're running counter or whatever. I mean, like, it was so annoying. You just knew either your shoulder was going to feel like it's going to pop out or you're going to get, ring your bell. Because normally guys like that, at that size, I would just cut them. Like in a game. I mean, I ain't squaring up with no damn 365-pound dude. But in practice, I couldn't do that. We couldn't cut. So I'm like, man, I got to thug it out, man. It's gotta do what you gotta do. But you see the common theme that I'm talking about. This is my last clip. I'll show you just. You see what everybody's doing? You see what I'm saying? Like, everybody's going to work. Like, I'm telling you right now, if I was doing a scouting report on this guy, like I would do this all game. I would want to go against him, like for me, because again, I was very handsy, very technical. He needs to fix that because again, it don't look like he's like it's not a bad rep here, but you'll see like when they do win their reps, everybody's doing the same thing. There's a reason that literally 8, 9, 93, whoever's lined up on him, they're all working the same move. I can guarantee they went in saying this guy is a big shooter. He's going to shoot his hands. He's going to give you hands. So we just got to clean that technique part. Got to clean that up. How was it tackling Derrick Henry? We didn't tackle much in practice. We never tackled in practice, only in scrimmages. But I did have to tackle him in a scrimmage. In one of my first scrimmages, I did have to tackle him. Forgot what they ran, but he cut back. I mean, everybody was blocking down. I was basically a cutback player. He cut back right to me. But I mean, big, strong dude. But the best thing you can do with that, man, you just got to go low and don't get stiff armed. But I made the tackle though. But like I said, I went low. Welcome to the NFL moment. Probably say training camp. Just we used to do like team run type drills kind of deal. And I just remember like it was probably one of our first days in pads, and I think we were running like a fullback. It might be like an H-back, but I just remember like, man, when I told everything just happened so quick, and I remember I just had to close on somebody. And normally, like, I mean, like I'm a bigger dude, so I kind of like hold my own. I don't feel like I have to really put everything into it, but I just remember, man, that play just developed so quick. And next thing I know, I just was like, boom, like it's just a quick contact. And I just like, damn. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely a little bit different than college, man. I'm like, in college, you know, you get your clothes on a, you know, H-back or whatever. They don't really want to close. They ain't really trying to do all that. In the league, though, unless it's like one of these pass catching guys that are, you know, soft and don't want to block, which there's a lot of that. I don't know. Training camp is different when you got dudes fighting to make roster spots. I mean, everybody's going hard. But I just remember I kind of got my bell rung with that kind of first practice. I was like, damn. I'm on the field on game days. Pre-game, I'm normally down there. I'll go down and walk around pre-game. I don't know if you guys know, but I used to do the sideline reporting for football. Now I do the post-game show, but I used to be like on the field the whole time when I was doing the sideline. And then now I just do the post-game show, but I still can go down there. But they're a little more strict. So in terms of like being on the field during the game, you have to have like the right pass and stuff. Like when Coach Saban was here, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit. People seemed a little bit more. I mean, because everybody knew everybody, but now they like. I mean, like they make sure you have every little. Like they denied, I think, a couple former players from even going on the field pregame, which is kind of crazy. Ah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. You know what's crazy, man? Like I had no like. I never really planned or prepped to do the sideline. They just called him like, "Hey, you want to try doing the sideline reporting, man?" Rashad had to go, or he left to go coach, and we got an opening. We need somebody, and so yeah, I just ended up doing it, and it was fun. I would have kept doing it, but post game just made more sense for me because it allowed. I didn't have to go to all the away games and all that. But it's fun doing it. It's definitely cool, man. But thank you for the compliment. Yeah, a lot of people's always like, "Man, we love you doing the sideline." I'm like, man, I really just kind of just add little quick pointers, but it's easy, but it's hard. It's easy because it's like, you know, they just come to you, you know, every, I don't know, series or so, and they just kind of ask for a quick update. Or if I wanted to chime in, I just communicate with the producer. But so compared to like doing, being a color analyst or a play-by-play, I mean, you're only talking maybe once every 20 minutes, but it is tough because they come to you quick, and then you have to get it in like quick before you know the next play because they have to do their job. So it was cool, man. It definitely was. It was cool to do. But thank you for the compliments, man. Yeah, people used to always say that. I'm like, dang, I didn't know people really paid that close attention to it, but yeah, I guess people do. Oh, and then that, yeah, with Coach Saban at halftime, you always could either keep it simple and just kind of go, hey, you know, thoughts in the first half. But I like he likes talking football. So like I used to try to actually get him to talk more football stuff, you know, and actually detail what's going on. But then they asked me to do the color analyst after I did 1 year sideline, and they wanted me to be the color analyst when John Parker retired or he stopped doing it. But I was like, that's a lot. At that point, I was like, I don't think I'm trying to do color analyst. I mean, you got to legit like you talk about studying every week, and I mean it's like nonstop. I was like, I kind of like doing the sideline type stuff. But it was an honor though that they even considered that because I was like, damn. I mean, I just started doing this. With how much he lunges to put his hands on people, I'm surprised there's not more snatch and swims. Well, that's why you're seeing so much, you know, two-hand swipes, scissors, you know, there's different names for it, but because he's a big punch, two-hand punch guy, lunges a lot. That's what I'm saying. You just got to clean it up. I mean, it's definitely not a great habit. It gets him in trouble, but I mean, with the right coaching, I think it could be cleaned up. But anyway, I just wanted to show you a quick snippet of him and kind of where I was coming from. But he's definitely a strong guy. And personally, I think he'll definitely compete for one of probably that left tackle spot. But I wouldn't be shocked if one of the young guys ends up winning the job. But he's going to push them though for sure. Or even if it's maybe he initially kind of has a little bit of a jump on him because of the reps and experience. If he actually is a decent player once he straps up here. See what I mean, though? Like, he's got good, physicality at the point of attack. Boom. But then it's always like everybody just disengages him like ASAP. Like you can be physical, but you gotta. He's strong. I mean, like he's physical at the point of attack, but I just always see him not, really getting engaged to where he can drive blockers. So a lot of technical stuff. No, I don't have eligibility. I wish, man. I say that. Nah, I really don't. I'm good, man. I'm good just smacking my gums and talking football. I've had plenty of injuries, man. I'm cool on it, but with NIL, I would maybe consider coming out of retirement and play a couple snaps. Becomes predictable. Yeah, just a little bit, but hey, but nonetheless, man, we need more bodies. We need more reinforcements. I'll take it, man. I'll take it. Now, I mean, it's probably not as major as I kind of put in thumbnail, but you gotta attract the listeners somehow, man. But definitely a really good pickup. One of my, I guess, I'm not gonna call it like a favorite pickup, but you get what I'm saying. Like, definitely one of the better ones that we've had, in my opinion. Because now, like, I didn't get to this point, but now when you look at the offensive line, it's starting to take a little bit better shape, right? I mean, you got an experienced guy competing at left tackle. He'll bring up, the competition with the younger guys too. And say he is, solid enough at left tackle where you feel good with them. You can maybe bump. I don't know about Jackson Lloyd. I don't know if him playing guard, but maybe the Haywood guy. If you feel good about this guy at left tackle, then he can probably get bumped at guard. And he's got a lot of tools to work with. So you see there, the Nick Brooks guy from Texas, he's got some tools to work with. And also like Will Sanders. So I feel like those are three guys that could potentially be, some solid pieces at guard. And then at center, I like the Cal Poly guy. Just going to be a matter of, how quick he can get adjusted to this next level. But I anticipate him being the guy at center. Then really you got Michael Carroll on the right side. So, I mean, if you think about it, this guy potentially, or Jackson Lloyd maybe, Ty Haywood maybe playing some guard / Will Sanders, Cal Poly guy at center, potentially the Texas guy, other guard, or flipped, whatever. Then Michael Carroll at right tackle. I think that gives you a line that definitely still is raw, definitely still will need a lot of development. But to me, it's starting to take shape to where I'm like, we could maybe work with that a little bit and see. Now, I don't think it's definitely not a guarantee by any chance, but exactly. Yeah, you can teach technique. Sometimes it's hard to coach some of that stuff out of guys like completely, but you're right. You can always improve some of that. But 6'5", 320, moves pretty well, physical, he's strong. Hopefully we can kind of work with that. So I think it's kind of coming along. But we'll have to see. But I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I'm gonna get some lunch. I got a couple things I gotta do. But I appreciate you guys as always hanging out with me. If you haven't, man, hit that like button on the way out. If you haven't, 2 dislikes. What we always get at least one dislike per day. I feel like it's probably the same person that's like upset with something, or I don't know. I'm like, what do we do? Why would you dislike this, man? We had 2 great guests. We're breaking down some tape. Maybe when we said the 9-3 thing, I don't know. Maybe it hurt people's feelings, but I think that's just kind of just objective, man. It's an objective thing. I'm not saying it happens, but just kind of where it stands is kind of how it looks like. But anyway, oh yeah, check out the Offsides guys. Looks like they'll be live tonight, man. Yeah, maybe probably some haters or some. Yeah, that's what I guess. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. So I'm like, if you take the time to it's one thing if you just don't want to hit the like button, whatever. I mean, it's fine, but to take your time to hit the dislike, man, like, what do we do to you, man? I feel like we're chilling over here. We didn't say nothing bad. We're just chilling. Just trying to talk football. Anyway, appreciate you guys. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Last